This is a Clutch Picks betting podcast presented by Clutch Points. Like, follow, and subscribe, rate us, review us, all that other fun stuff. My name is Sheldon Alexander, and a big thanks to DraftKings as we're going to break down the NBA play-in tournament. Thanks to the people at DraftKings and DraftKings Pick 6. More on that later. But we're here to talk some basketball, and, it's that time of year. The playoffs are here, and I always find it funny, especially the last few seasons, as we've had this NBA playoff tournament continue to become a thing. And, we live in this age of the internet where everyone has to be mad about something. And to think, of course, the NBA tries things and they don't get everything right. But people have such a hard time even just saying that things have gone well with the play-in tournament. Like, I don't get people who are upset about the play-in tournament, especially when you see the races that were going on down the stretch in the Western Conference, in the Eastern Conference. Like, it was crazy. It was such a great thing to see, right? And sometimes I think, the people against the play-in tournament, maybe you just don't like basketball. Because I don't get how you could have possibly watched that Warriors Clippers game on Sunday and that game go to overtime and have so much on the line and then be like, yeah, this isn't a good idea. And also too, most of those people that are going to complain about it, you're going to be sitting on your couches watching the next 2 days of games to decide the 7th and 8th seed in the playoffs. And so that's why we're here. This is a Clutch Picks betting podcast. I'm here with some NBA play-in tournament picks for you, picks against the spread. If you follow me throughout the different iterations of these pods, we sprinkle a little bit here and there. We break down some basketball, and obviously we talk about football in the NFL season, but until then, we got basketball. So here we are. We're going to do that. So first off, I know there might be people who don't really get what the play-in tournament is. It starts on Tuesday, and on Tuesday, you'll get the 7 versus 8 matchups. And the way that it works is the winner of the 7 versus 8 seed, right? You get the 7th seed. The loser of the 7 versus 8 game, you played the winner of Wednesday's 9 versus 10 game. Get it? Got it? Does that make sense? So basically, if you're the 9 or 10 seed, you have to win 2 games to make the playoffs. If you're the 7 or 8 seed, you just win 1 game and you make the playoffs. I don't get how people are against this. And also, you just added to so many different races down the stretch. The Western Conference standings were insane the last month of the season. So much position. I mean, look at the shot Harrison Barnes hit against his former team, the Warriors, like how much that shot can come back to haunt them because now they find themselves in the play-in tournament. I mean, it's just great. It's great. And also too, like it doesn't have to be, obviously you look in the West and you're going to have teams like, if we just go through the matchups right now, right? So the 7-8 matchups in the East, you got the Hawks at the Magic, and then you got the Grizzlies and Warriors. And then the 9 and 10 matchups, you got the Bulls and Heat in the East. And in the West, the Mavs and Kings. So you have some pretty solid teams, right? And you have some interesting storylines. Obviously, the Grizzlies have been a crazy storyline, with them getting rid of their coach and just what's going on with John Morant, still trying to figure out how he should be celebrating. Then you have, we'll get there, right? Just what an interesting season for the Grizzlies all around. But then you have the Warriors who make this trade for Jimmy Butler. And now you're telling me that you don't want to sit down and watch Steph Curry and Draymond and Jimmy play in a 1-game playoff to try to make it into the postseason? Who's not in for that, right? Like, that's incredible. So, and then you just get fun stories like the Chicago Bulls. And I don't even know how to describe what's gone on with the Bulls, but they've just been on this fun ride ever since getting rid of Zach LaVine. And you're seeing Josh Giddey and Kobe White go crazy. Like, you just have fun storylines going on. And I'll take that. Again, I think a lot of these things come down to, do you actually like basketball, or do you just do it as a job because you think that it's easy or more fun than like your traditional being in an office job or whatever else? Because I feel like that might be where the disconnect comes from, some of this discourse about how we talk about sports. Like, you could just not like basketball and then not cover the game. And that doesn't mean that because you cover the game, you can't say anything bad about it. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying the play-in tournament works. If you watch the end of the season and some of your teams that you're rooting for might be at the bottom of the standings, meaning they have lottery odds, you know, you know how bad that version of basketball was for the last month, right? So now imagine if that didn't matter in terms of the play-in, and so it was just 1 through 8, and things were even decided even more so. You'd have more teams sitting out. You wouldn't have a race in the West that was as crazy as it was in terms of all these teams having the same record. Like, it just bred for great, great, great basketball. And what do we like to do when there's great, great basketball? We like to sprinkle a little something, 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 right? So let's break down these games here. Let's get to that because I know that's why you're here. I know I had to get that off my chest a little because basketball coverage is so funny to me. Like, there's so many great stories, and we waste so much time talking about BS all the time instead of just talking about the game. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to talk about the games. Let's start here first, right? As we got the Atlanta Hawks in Orlando to take on the Magic. The Magic are obviously the higher seed. They're the 7 seed. The Hawks is the 8 seed. And the Magic come in as 5-point favorites. Okay. So 7 seed Magic finish 41-41. They host the Hawks, who are finished 40-42. These teams split the season series 2-2. And to me, I'll take the points. I'm going to take the 5 points here with the Hawks. I think to me, these types of one-off play-in games are perfect for Trae Young. If you've been familiar with Trae Young's game, his style, he likes the flash, he likes the attention. And this, when you could just have a star like this step on the court and basically just go off, I like those odds with Trae Young. I've seen him do it before on bigger stages than this. So why can't he do it now, especially when we've seen the improvement surrounding his team? He's had a great season, right? Under the radar, too. 24 and 11 assists, 24 points per game, and 11 assists per game for Trae Young. And a different style of play, I'd say, where, you know, the team seems to be more balanced. It's not just stand around and just watch Trae all the time, but you've added in a backcourt mate in Dyson Daniels, who's been just a perfect fit for him, right? Daniels slides in and he's been a defensive menace. So as much as Trae handles the offense, Daniels is such a great job on defense, but also provides offense as well. A great two-way player, right? You're talking someone who is a top tier defender on one end, and then someone who's able to play on or off the ball, meaning you work perfectly beside Trae Young. It's not just Trae Young having to make every single decision. You have another ball handler, right? And I think that part's super exciting. But on top of that, I still believe Trae is a showman. He's here for the moment, but the supporting cast beyond Daniels, Zachary Ricochet, right? He's just gotten better and better as the season has gone along, even putting up 16 points per game in the month of March, right? He's just been better as the year has gone along. You've seen him progress more. And, you know, in a year where that draft class, there was a lot of uncertainty, especially at the top of the draft class, it's been great to see someone who was the number 1 overall pick live up to that billing. Like, I think he's played really well. And just because he didn't have the name recognition that, you know, if you enter this year's draft with Cooper Flag and everyone talking about Cooper Flag forever, Ricochet's proven to be a solid pick. He's been pretty solid, you know? So I think the team and just the way that the Hawks have been playing, all of these things fit in to give just a much better supporting cast for Trae Young to have the space to do what he does. And in a one-off like that, I like that. Another thing I like is, you know, the DeAndre Hunter trade with the Hawks and Cavs that brought Karis LeVert over to the Hawks. And Karis LeVert is one of those, like, you know, if you follow basketball, you watch the playoffs, you know that there's these sneaky vets that will give teams a boost, you know, and it's like, oh, wait, that guy's on that team. Karis LeVert is that guy for the Hawks, where you put him in and he could just be a microwave and heat up and drop a bunch of points very quickly and just change the fortunes of a game. And I think with the style of play, the Hawks like to get up and down. They like to run, and Karis LeVert can come in and he's just another playmaker, another person that can get a bucket. So again, it's just not all on Trae Young. I just like their ability as the Hawks. They still don't play like the best defense ever, but they've improved defensively. And I think most importantly in this matchup against the Magic, this has been a weird season for the Orlando Magic. Of course, coming off the season that they had last year, there was so much expectations this year, and then injuries just like damaged, the start of their season. They got off to a great start, and then everything just went down the toilet essentially as their injuries just continued to pile up. And Paolo, as great as he is, I think he's so good. I've just seen too many Orlando Magic games where they've struggled to score points. And you don't, I personally, when you're talking about basketball, and even if you equate this to March Madness, in one game settings, I don't really like to take the team that, has a tendency to go in massive offensive droughts. It's not where I like to lay my chips, and especially not where I like to lay my chips when you're going against someone like Trae Young, who's not going to have that problem. So the Magic can do their thing where they play defense and they play great and they keep the game close and all that fun stuff. And I get that. I totally get that, but I just don't see the Magic being able to pull away and have this lead, and win by more than 5. Like, I just think that's too many points. Give me the Hawks. I will take the points. I will take Trae Young, and I will sit and enjoy and watch that. But that game, I think, will be a pretty good game, but it's not even the biggest game of Tuesday night because there's another big boy matchup to talk about. But I feel like before we get to that, we got a little message first. Ready to win some real cash during the basketball playoffs? Check out Pick 6 from DraftKings. When it comes to basketball payouts, DraftKings Pick 6 posterizes a competition, including prize picks. Hit all your picks and score higher minimum payouts on Pick 6 Plus. Even more cash if you outscore the competition. Pick 6 is available in most states, including Missouri, California, Texas, Georgia, and more. We had the best month of March on basketball picks, and it was all because of DraftKings Pick 6. So we're trying to take how hype we were in March and transfer that into April for more basketball winnings. You got to do it with DraftKings Pick 6 because that's what we do here on the Clutch Picks Betting Podcast. So got to keep it rolling. New players get $50 in Pick 6 credits instantly on just a $5 entry. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code CLUTCH. That's code CLUTCH for new customers to play $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins. Only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. So as we get back to action here, as mentioned, big boy matchup to close up Tuesday night's action in the play-in tournament. We got the Grizzlies at the Warriors. And this is a big, big, big matchup. And if you are the NBA, a matchup like this is exactly why you would create the NBA play-in tournament, because you have star power in Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler and Draymond and Ja Morant. What more do you want? Right? If you're Adam Silver, if you're the networks, you got your stars, you got your matchup, and you got the calendar on your side where you have cleared out everything else. And this is what you got in the NBA. So these two teams both finished with a record at 48-34 this season. Remember, this is exactly what I was just talking about in terms of how crazy the race was in the Western Conference. So you have these two teams, 48-34, the 7-8 seed. Golden State won the season series 3-1. And when I look at this one, right, This is a tough one for me. The Warriors, right? They find themselves here after losing an OT to the Clippers, last game of the season. And now you're in this crazy game against the Grizzlies, where, again, if you lose, hope is not all lost because you still have a chance to win the eighth seed, right? But you would rather win this game and then rest until Saturday's games, or I guess it'd be Sunday's games, right? As opposed to having to play another game in 2 days, right? Seems pretty obvious. Like, of course, you'd want to take the rest and win this game. But you're playing against a Grizzlies team, and these two teams have history. They've had their moments where, I mean, on the en route to the last Warriors championship, they beat the Grizzlies, but the Grizzlies thought that they had a chance there, and then Ja Morant got hurt, and the Grizzlies were talking mega trash, and that led into the regular season the following year as well. And these two teams, there's no love loss, right? But the Grizzlies aren't going to be afraid of this moment. The moment isn't going to be too big for them, but I still think that it's too many points. I think the Warriors win the game, but I'm going to take Memphis plus the 7 points here. I think they cover. I think they're good enough to keep it close, but not good enough to beat the Warriors. The other part about this is all season long, the Grizzlies have struggled versus good teams. And guess what? Since the Warriors got Jimmy Butler, they're a pretty good team, right? Can they make a deep run all the way to a chip? I'm not really sure. I'm not going to take it that far, but I do think that since they've gotten Jimmy Butler, they have a 23-7 record since the trade. And I'm going to take Jimmy, Steph, and Draymond to be able to get past Ja Morant and company in a 1-game play-in, right? So again, different things to talk about here, right? If you want to do a little money line parlay here, maybe you want to put the Warriors with the Hawks, right? That'll give you some little juice there to get you into the plus money, right? If you want to do something there. Or again, if you're talking point spread, I'm okay with taking Memphis plus 7. I just think that's a lot of points. The other problem though here with Memphis is that they've struggled all season long against good teams. And I know people have said that, and it kind of was like, oh, how bad could it be? What if I told you they were 14-25 this season versus teams at or above 500? 14-25. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy to me. So again, I don't really like taking big spreads in the NBA unless it's like a team that's really, really good playing a team that's really, really bad on equal rest. You know what I'm saying? But that's the only reason why I'm not taking Golden State minus the 7 points. I just think that's a lot. It takes a lot for me to lay that many points. So I'm going to take the Grizzlies plus 7. But I think, again, the Warriors win this game. And that's, I'm hoping Jimmy Butler's okay. I know he got banged up at the end of that game on Sunday in OT, but the Warriors need this game. The Warriors are at home. Memphis, again, doesn't play well against good teams. So give me the Warriors money line if you're going to put it together with the parlay, or give me the Grizzlies plus 7 because I think they'll keep it close, but not win the game. Got it? Does that make sense? Let's move on to Wednesday's action, right? Because on Wednesday, we got the second version of said play-in tournament games. Is you got the 9 seed versus the 10 seeded matchups. And we start in the East, where we got the Heat at the Bulls in Chicago. The Bulls won all 3 matchups this season. The Bulls just have better vibes about them. I'm not sure why. I don't really understand it. But it's one of those things where, you move some pieces out. Maybe there's more people more understand their roles or slide into roles. Maybe, with Zach LaVine there's a lot of standing around and watching Zach LaVine. I don't know. But the vibes have just been different. The Josh Giddey, Kobe White combo, they've been balling. Josh Giddey in January was averaging 10, 5, and 6. Okay. Since then, he's basically gone 29-9, including 21, 13, and 11 over his last 4 games. That's insane. Absolutely insane. Meanwhile, the Heat have had one of the strangest seasons in history, right? The Jimmy Butler saga has been insane. Eric Spoelstra is looking mad old. There's like Twitter drama with people accused. I'm not even going to get into that and like legitimize that, but like get your Googles up. If you know, you know, I'll say that. Some weird investigations surrounding, what's your man's name? Terry Rozier, you know, Scary Terry. Wiggins has come over in that trade, in the Jimmy Butler trade, and he's been okay, but I mean, they probably need a lot more from him. Bam has had a bit of a weird year as well, as Bam still hasn't really turned into the superstar that the Heat need or have treated him as. Tyler Hero had a great season. I guess that's the one bright side. Raptors fans will be happy to say that Davion Mitchell's gone over there and, you know, been a stabilizing force for them, which is pretty cool. But overall, just a weird season for the Miami Heat. And I think so much drama that if you're the Heat, you're kind of just looking for this season to end. If you're the Bulls, you got all these young guys that are just happy to be out there, happy to be winning. You know, they want to keep the vibes going. This is a vibes pick here. As the Bulls are favored by 1 point, I'm going to take the Chicago Bulls here on this one, right? Again, don't be afraid to hit a little money line sprinkle. If you want to sprinkle on these 4 games, never be afraid of a little money line sprinkle, right? It's a fun way to bet on the NBA. But as mentioned, because I mentioned needing the season to end. If there's one team or one fan base that is probably rooting, hoping, wishing that the season would just come to an end, it's gotta be gotta be the Dallas Mavericks, right? Their fan base has been through a lot. And, you know, if not for how bad the Phoenix Suns are, the Mavs should be out of the play-in, right? But they couldn't even lose enough to fall all the way out because the Suns were just so bad. So here we are in the last matchup of the play-in, I guess the first round. You got the Mavs in Sacto taking on the Kings. Kings is 5-point favorites. And this is another like vibes pick for me here, right? As I mentioned with the Bulls and the Heat, this is kind of the same thing here where I'm taking the home team and I'm going to lay the 5 points with the Kings because I just think the vibe of the Mavs is much like the vibe of the Heat. Just end this season already. Get to the summer. 1, 2, 3 Cancun. Let's go. This is a tough one though, right? Because AD, credit to him because he's looked really good in the limited action he's played for the Mavs. And AD could come out in this game and just ball out and just have a monster night. The tough thing is, to quote a wise man, we don't believe you need more people. AD needs more people. And Kyrie's hurt. You know, Clay isn't the same Clay that he was. There's just not enough around him. And, you know, you're going to need firepower against Sacramento Kings because they put up points. DeRozan, Levine, you know, even Sabonis, right? Like they get buckets. They run and gun. They run up and down. They've had a weird season as well. I mean, has there been any firing this season of NBA coaches that weren't a surprise? Right? Because even Mike Brown, when he got let go, that was a surprise. And now that's just overshadowed by, you know, Mike Malone getting let go and Taylor Jenkins also getting let go, right? Like those are just such epic surprises that we've almost forgotten about, you know, what happened to Sacramento Kings earlier. But they've had such a strange season as well that this might be, you know, just a way for them to get some good vibes. You know, you got a game in front of your home crowd where you can get a win against a battered and bruised Mavs team and just take care of business and try to end your season on some vibes, you know? Nothing wrong with that. I just think there's too much firepower. 5 points is a lot, but again, the Kings swept the season series 3-0. Too much scoring, I think, from DeMar and Zach LaVine. They should be able to get the job done. So to recap all the picks here, right? We got the Hawks +5 in Orlando against the Magic. Give me the Grizzlies +7 against the Warriors in Golden State. But again, I'm going to give you a little something for Tuesday night. Nothing wrong with a little money line sprinkle here with the Hawks and the Warriors on the money line sprinkle. That might be a little fun there, right? A little something for you. And then the following day on Wednesday, we got the 9 and 10 matchups. Give me the Bulls -1 at home against the Heat and the Kings -5 at home against the Mavs. Wednesday, I'm calling those my vibes picks, right? Those are just teams that have all right, happy vibes. We're ending our season on some good vibes, in front of our home crowd against two teams just dreading for the season to be over. But all in all, I'm really looking forward to Tuesday night's action just because Trae Young versus Paolo, like that could be a great matchup of two of the NBA's young stars just having a chance to go crazy in front of the whole NBA world. That'll be a lot of fun. And then, of course, as mentioned, Ja Morant and the Grizzlies, they've always wanted the smoke from the Warriors. The Warriors continue to struggle during the play-in tournament. Will that continue? You'd hope not, with Jimmy and Steph ready to go and clicking on all cylinders, but who knows? So a lot of fun, a lot of great basketball action to come up over the next couple days for sure. So make sure you stay tuned in to the Clutch Picks Betting Podcast. We'll got more for you. Thanks to the folks at DraftKings for supporting the pod, supporting the movement. We appreciate that for sure. You can follow me. I'll be on Twitter, probably tweeting out during the games. You can follow me on Twitter at Shell Alexander or on Instagram at Sheldon Alexander. Follow, subscribe, all that other fun stuff. You know where to find the stuff online, the Clutch Picks Betting Podcast, Apple, Spotify, and of course on YouTube. I always say my name is Sheldon Alexander. Another reminder, you can find me on all the socials because that's just where we're at. As I always say, I used to pray for times like this to rhyme like this. This is the Clutch Picks Betting Podcast. As always, unpolished and unapologetic. Until next time, see ya.